Reform, Rules Review and Legislative Modernization Committee meeting. Majority Council, could you take the vote?
Sure, Madam Chairwoman. Ms. Plavsky?
Present.
Willingham? Kuhn?
Here.
Larilliers? Here. Lakakis?
Yeah.
Mayo?
Here.
Petto and Moriello are excused, and Grimm.
Here.
7 present, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve the previous minutes?
Yes, please.
All
Second.
right, second, by all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Item 2, amending the Albany County Rules of Order related to public comment periods and public hearings. Have you all had a chance to look at the proposed changes?
Were there changes?
They look great.
All right. Is there a motion, any discussion, questions?
I'll move it.
I have a question.
Oh, question.
Is this the question of how much time they get public speaking, is this part of this?
No.
No, this is separate than that?
This is separate from what we're talking about, correct?
Yes.
What we're talking about now is the
Legislative
previous.
McLean is here.
Yeah,
Is
Ally's
thing.
Okay,
And are there changes from last month? Or they were just changes from the month before?
no changes.
Yeah,
No changes, so what we read last month is still, okay, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Question now,
Sure.
if someone comes up and they won't give their name, their address, their name, but say they say, I don't want to say where I'm living because of, are
Well,
we
we-
still gonna let them speak?
Don't say their address.
Yeah, it's just a municipality of residence, so
But what if they don't do that?
we can refuse to let them speak.
Okay. Discretionary?
Well, I mean,
Can't
if we're-
speak if you don't.
if
do
we're making
what
it part of
this
the
says.
rules, yeah.
Okay. All right.
They give it to the clerks, they don't necessarily announce it, have to, they just.
No, yeah, they don't have to get up and say, I'm from here, it's just on the sign-in
paper.
sheet.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay, it's just on the sign-up sheet, so it's not like a.
Yeah, they don't have to
That's even
announce their
better, yeah.
residence, or, I mean, some people do, but.
Did you want to say something? We have a motion already on the floor. that
I'm here if anyone has a question, that's all.
Can you just tell me what your legislative intent is?
My legislative intent, well, thank you, I appreciate the opportunity to clarify. We've had a few instances, I certainly had one several times in a row, and we did have one where an individual who claimed he was from a police department, PBA involved, but was really somebody who was involved with the tobacco lobby, come in and sort of misrepresent either where they live, that they're a resident, that they're a constituent, or the documents that are signed by people, it doesn't matter if this is in place or not. Now we just have some clarification, is that these are filed with the clerk of the legislature. Any document that is filed with the clerk of the legislature becomes an official document, and falsifying a document that is submitted to a public official, which our clerk is, and is also, those, it's actually an official document. It would be nice if it was clear who these people were, and also it would give us an opportunity, not that we're trying to go after anyone, that is not the point. It would just be nice to have an opportunity to know, is this person a constituent or not? Does this person have another agenda? Are they with a lobbying firm? We have certainly been lobbied before, and sometimes there's that line between, are they a lobbyist or are they a constituent? And it would just be nice to know if they were sort of honest about where they lived and whatever, and certainly they do not have to announce it in front of everybody. A lot of municipalities do require that. I know it's required in the town of Niskayuna, but it's not, no one should just have to announce it out loud. They can just write it down and just know that that's an official document.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Why I called you and did not reach you was because last month when you weren't here, we were also talking about the difference between people attending via Zoom or attending in person. And I wondered if you would be open to a friendly amendment to inserting that people could attend by Zoom, if it's as simple as that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it says,
Oh,
like,
no
and we
question
could
about
easily
it.
stick it in this sentence over here that says, each member of the public who desires to address the legislature by Zoom or in person shall give their name, blah, 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 blah.
No, I'm
So,
fine with it.
yeah.
Absolutely. I
So
think that's smart.
I don't know if council will think that's an adequate,
39, is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
We use Zoom.
You need
Can I ask a
remotely.
question? We don't
Yeah,
have Zoom now as a meeting, I mean,
Yeah, that would require us to, people would have to sign up in advance. It would just
Right.
require a process. So people would have to sign up in advance. We'd have to know they wanted to
I think
Zoom
we did it
in
once. And
so that we could have a meeting open.
we had 2 people that day.
Because we don't typically do that.
We would like to typically do that,
Because
I think.
legislators don't have the opportunity to do that.
No, we have to come, but the public has can have the option if they want to.
I'm
Zoom in.
totally open to that.
understood, but they
Are you talking
also
about
have to
Zoom?
show up at school board meetings, town board meetings.
Right.
But they also, there's others, some of those they can Zoom in if they so desire.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Legislator McLaughlin, thank you. Sorry, Willingham.
Okay, so, clarification. Are you saying that the public should be able to Zoom in so that they can speak?
Correct. Since we can't interact with them and we can't, during a public hearing only, since we can't ask them any questions, we can't do anything, you know, for them to have to drive all the way to us to speak for 3 minutes and then drive all the way home is onerous to some people. And I thought we had discussed this
Or
the last
30
time
minutes.
and we were feeling pretty good about it, but maybe we need to discuss it again. It's just having an option for them to just to be more accessible for people, especially in the hill towns, people with kids, people giving care to older people. No,
I
but
have
we
no
definitely have to
objection
be
it,
here.
But how do people feel? Is it beyond the scope of this particular amendment, or can we move forward with it?
I think that's a question
this-
maybe for council possibly.
Does this change any rules, let's say, that we have already in regards to hybrid meetings?
No, those can't change per the open
Yeah,
meeting
hybrid.
law.
And in this case, is this just for a public hearing, or is it for a public comment period too?
It's for both.
It's for both?
For both.
Okay.
So are you making a motion to make a friendly amendment to this?
I am, I guess.
Sorry, is there a question on the floor? Yes.
On-
I'm a little confused. There's 2 parts, public forum versus a public hearing. Public hearing's more regulated, much more constricted. Public forum, I'm not sure if there would be a violation or an issue with having a Zoom attendance at a public forum, because you set up the forum as a legislature.
Well, I mean, practically, it doesn't matter because it's the public's attendance, so it has no bearing on whether
Well, a
it
public
is
hearing, of
under.
course, has got a stenographer and all the other issues associated with a
Well, yeah,
public
but
hearing.
it doesn't make a difference to the open meetings law rules because it doesn't, it's just the public, it's not their attendance. There's no law that
Well, I
the
guess
public
what-
attending
I guess what I'm
person.
saying is that if you were going to make an amendment, perhaps it might be easier to make the amendment for the public forum portion of this, and then perhaps look a little bit further at the public hearing to double check that there's not an issue. If you wanted to make sure that there was absolutely no issues with it, the other amendment can be made at a later date.
If there are legal issues associated with this, then why don't we table that? We can always do whenever we want to add that and
Okay,
just do this
next
tonight.
month then.
All right.
And
Yes.
I would be happy, you know, Lynn, if you would like me to draft that or whatever, I would be happy to. You know, I love the public participation. We learn a lot. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not.
Yes, Ms. Warren.
So again, on this, so as far as the Zoom information is concerned, how does that work? So so people still have to sign up
Sure.
to
Just
go
ahead of
along
time.
with what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
So will they, only the ones who sign, this is a question, let me change this. Will the people, help me lawyers, the ones who wish to speak, in order for them to Zoom in, they have to sign up and go through the whole process of who they are, where they're from, and will only those people be given the Zoom information?
Well, I think they've decided to table the Zoom
We're not gonna
discussion
do
for
the Zoom
another
thing,
evening,
'cause
so
it's
it's not
too many
even under
complicated
consideration at this
things.
point, but.
Next month we'll talk about it.
But if that were the case, they would have to comply with all the same procedures as everyone else.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so Lynn's motion does not have a second and is
Okay.
withdrawn right now.
It's
We still
withdrawn.
have, Mr. Grimm?
Yeah, question on the, do we typically give it 3 minutes or 5 minutes? I'm a little confused on this reading. Don't
Well,
we
that's
usually
not
just give them 3
changing.
minutes, or?
We
Yeah,
can
that's
spend
not up
between
for
3 and 5 minutes.
debate, but
Oh, okay, so
If
the
we-
timer is set on what then? 3 or 5?
Whatever the chair.
it's the
That
chairperson's
night or
discretion.
something?
Yeah, like if there's a lot of people, I would do 3. I don't know if you noticed, but Carol got 5 last night.
We did. Because, you know,
I wonder if you're gonna give it 15.
the
but-
Gettysburg Address is 2.5 minutes long, so you really can make your points 3. My concern is if people are waiting, you know, they may leave because they have to wait. So I think a standard 3 is plenty for everybody.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed that, but that's what I've been hearing on.
Well, I didn't know, that's why I asked you, I didn't know what this.
No, I
So
agree.
if we go back to the beginning of the meeting, Mr. Kuhn already made a motion, so is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Mayo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Current business discussion regarding a proclamation policy for the county legislature.
Can I just do a little setup on this?
Absolutely.
I think it's actually in Granicus reference, the file name as final. That is not, it's not final, it's for discussion today. And this is something that was started by the chair's office last year. I think it's been kind of under development for months and months. We wanted to make sure to pull Rebecca and Brandon into it, so they have made some, additional edits to it. But this is tonight for discussion purpose. There has been some legislator discussion about the need for some, parameters and some structure around the proclamation policy. So it's out of that that this came about.
Good. Has everyone had a chance to read it through? Do you have questions on it? I'm going to take a moment now to read it.
Oh, I just wanted to just say, as a new legislator, I am very glad that there's policy on this to, establish parameters, so I'm glad this is under discussion.
Yeah, I think this is good. The third bullet in the proclamations will generally not. What is the last one? Individual conventions? What does that mean?
I don't even know where you are.
What page are you
Jeff,
on?
Bottom
on
of
the
the
first
page.
page,
Third
third
bullet,
bullet.
controversial or purposely polarizing issues.
Purposely polarizing.
Just regularly polarizing.
Not just normal polarizing, okay.
Probably take out purposely,
Right, I'd take out purposely.
if we're gonna group edit now.
What is,
Right.
did we get a definition of that?
Individual conventions?
Yeah.
No.
Is that like, yeah, it could be personal
Was that
convention?
meant to,
Beliefs.
was that meant to be something else?
Rebecca or
The word
Joanne, do you
I
convention.
think
want to
I
address that?
didn't write it, but I assume that means beliefs, conventions.
That's a weird way to say it.
Pat, I would
So-
defer to you.
He's looking it up.
We'll take ownership.
I didn't write that section. so-
Nobody wrote it.
Okay, sorry, I thought you wrote it.
He's Googling, see if that means.
So,
It's just, as Joanne said, it's a starting point. It's not the
Yeah,
final.
we're just
So this
discussing,
is
we're not like-
constructive.
Oh.
It has not
Voting on
been
this tonight.
introduced.
Oh,
To be
Yeah.
clear.
I might get rid of that because I don't know what it means.
so you gonna let it go and not know what it means?
No, I'm saying get rid of it because
Oh, okay.
nobody knows what it means.
No, I'm with you.
So was the motion to take away the first word?
Well, we don't even.
There
have
is
to-
no motion,
Yeah,
there's
we don't
nothing
have
before the
to.
committee
We're just
officially.
talking.
So are you suggesting get rid of individual beliefs or conventions or sub out,
Individual convention.
put
I think if
individual
it said
beliefs?
controversial or polarizing issues
With the word purposely.
or ideological or religious beliefs,
End.
period,
Okay.
or semicolon. I mean, I think the idea is, we're not gonna debate, have lengthy debates over issues over which we have no authority. Right? Like, we've got, that seems like kind of a waste of time.
And sometimes I feel if we're being asked to state a position on international affairs, we're being somehow used to boost one side or the other when it might not really pertain to what we have any control over. So I'm assuming that's why there's language in here about national and international groups or urging another system of government to act on an issue or legislation. So I
Yes.
understand that. Lynn, is your hand raised or are you
It
just
is.
like, okay, resting in a certain,
Raised.
sorry. Go ahead, Lynn.
If we're done with that section, I wanted to talk about the 5. You know, I was always under the impression that you needed more than half for us to do anything.
We've never had any rules before.
I know, but just verbally, I was told when I started, you know, if I'm gonna have, I only had one proclamation, but they said, if you get more than, you know, if you get the 20 signatures, then you can deliver it. And that was a very long time ago, and things have changed a lot since then, but it seems, 5 seems kind of low to me. If it's
said
gonna
5?
reflect the whole group.
Here's a proclamation from the Albany County Legislature, okay, only 5 of them. is-
Right, it seems
Yeah.
little, it's not, it's embarrassing,
A
it's
little light.
mortifying, it's lame, and then it's also doesn't, 5 of 39 is not even a
lot.
third. Like, it's a very small amount. It's like, why bother?
Eighth,
It's like an eighth. If you do, I
Exactly.
spell well, I don't really do air math, but, it just seems inadequate to me, and I
I
would
ask where
wonder,
the
how
5
did we get to
came from?
5?
What number do you like?
I think we were trying to come up with something
I don't
that
know.
was better than
Just like to
why,
pass,
People, basically.
to pass resolution.
because there currently is no requirement.
Page
and
8 on the
people- There
top.
was concern
And what do you think?
I'm on the committee, but I agree.
that
Oh, I want, yeah, sorry.
that something could be issued
Well-
with only one signature. Of course,
Ah.
a proclamation has signatures on it, so you know exactly who supported it. So there's that as well.
Okay, so,
It might, okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Cunningham, you were next.
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say, and Pat just reminded me, if it is sort of a hyper-local issue, like, you know, the 100th anniversary of the Delmar Marketplace, you know, there's what, 5 of us in Bethlehem that would be excited about doing that. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't also wanna sign, but I think the intent behind that was some resolutions, you know, it is a super local issue that, you know.
But it won't be handed out with the empty signature lines, it'll just be handed out with the 5 signatures.
They don't do that, do
Yeah,
they?
we
I don't
don't
know.
do that,
I-
no,
It's just
I
a
don't know.
signature.
no.
This guy
I've
would
seen
sign.
them, there's some are empty, and then it kind of like
No,
looks to the
that's
person
an
who's
old
getting it like, well, why
Send
didn't,
them around for signatures.
yeah, why didn't Joe Schmo sign and?
Tell them I'm
okay,
All right,
so,
Ms. Willingham, sorry.
oh,
Please.
thank you. Willingham. So proclamations, I don't have my glasses, so you might have to help me with this.
Okay, this is number 1.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I can't help you with the hearing aid.
Okay. So now, when we say at least 5 legislator signatories, unless there are more than, I guess those are the ones that are bringing the proclamation. Is that my understanding? So you don't have to have 26 people sign, okay? Now, so if I won't say anybody's name, but a prominent member of the community died, and he was a businessman, okay? And he attends my church, but everybody in the community knows him. And let's say he was on a funeral director. And naturally, a lot of people would know, okay? So you're saying I can't ask for a proclamation?
You can ask for
Why
it.
not?
I'm trying to understand what's on here. Help me with that.
No, you could.
That would be like a historic occasion, the
Yeah, you
passing
could,
of
it sounds like
civic
that would fit in
leader.
the qualifications. It's recognizing a local business person, it's honoring a
Should do
nonprofit group, it's recognizing an individual for their contribution to the
right.
community, so it qualifies.
As
But
long
now,
as you
my
have 5 or
question is,
more.
But-
you can have the proclamation, but when does it become real? Like, how many signatures makes it real?
So once
And
Nicolette
maybe
circulates
one
it-
is the answer, maybe
No,
5
it's
is just
just talking
random.
about the 5.
Hold on, it's
But
not,
when
you
you get
don't have
the
to get 5
5,
people
not
to support it,
before
you just
you
need
ask.
5, to bring it forward, you just need 5 people to sign on it.
5
That's
people
what they're
sign
saying.
on,
Well, that's what I'm asking.
5 people.
And I have to have that, huh?
Well, who would
Well,
not?
hopefully
Who would
everybody
not
would
sign on? I
I
sign
don't
on all
know.
that stuff.
I mean,
Hopefully everybody would sign on.
all you're saying is I gotta go get 5 people. Which,
So the chair's
No, she
office
sends it out. They
takes
send it out.
care of that.
okay,
They send it out to everybody and you say, sign me on.
okay.
So
I
that's
guess-
when we got the email, would you like to sign on to like the Commissioner of DEC's proclamation? That would be the 5
Okay.
included in that.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah.
Thank you.
First of all, it should not clog legislative business. It used to do that, in my understanding, they had debates until 2 in the morning on abortion, where we're not going to change the state or federal law. So I think it shouldn't clog legislative business, and that's the way it sort of works now, where if you want to sign a proclamation, you can. If you don't want to sign it, that's fine too. A proclamation is a press release, okay? So the idea that I would accept limitations on a press release or a proclamation is preposterous to me. I can issue any proclamation I want by the virtue of the constituents putting me here to voice my opinion. So I think there should be individual members who can issue a proclamation in their name, not for the whole legislature. But a proclamation is essentially a press release about something you want to say. And there's no way I would accept limits or accept seeking approval for what I want to say, or if the minority conference wants to say something. Now, it still can be open to everybody else. Most of our stuff, everybody signs on. It's somebody's retired after 40 years, has done a great job. But it's also problematic with respect to the First Amendment, which I've spent a lifetime defending, that to say there might be limits on what you can say and what you cannot say.
Well, nobody's saying, no one's saying that it's a limitation on what anybody can say. What they're saying is it's a limitation on what the Albany County Legislature as a group is going to issue proclamations about. And it's also not a law, so it's not stopping anybody from saying anything. We're just saying as a matter of policy for these honorary ceremonial things, here are, when it's coming from the whole legislature, or it's in the name of the legislature, here are the guidelines. Of course, any members of the legislature, like any member of the public, can write something on paper and say, here's a quote-unquote, proclamation, and nothing that we do is going to stop that. The members of the entire GOP caucus could get together and issue a proclamation that would not comply with these requirements, and that's their right. We're just saying that for the Albany County legislative proclamations, these are the guidelines.
I'm glad you said that, Jay. I just wanted to make that clear, that we can freely issue any proclamation we wish. Now, if the Democrats have an overwhelming number, so if the approval number is, I think, 26 or something like that?
There is no.
To override the chair, it's 26.
Okay.
The chair says it's not a valid proclamation, you need 26 signatures to override it.
Where is that?
It's
Just above it.
Yeah, above the 5.
That's for the instance in
thank
which it is, a matter of international concern or otherwise doesn't meet one of
Thank
the
you.
initial.
So the chair vetoes something,
But it still gets 26 signatures.
it's 26 and it
still
goes
be
through.
issued. Yes,
Notwithstanding.
and 26 being
Okay.
2/3.
Okay.
Okay,
That's really-
cool.
Okay, since we're setting these rules, I got a question. I know when I ask for a proclamation, I give it to somebody, okay? So now, and who said it's just you said a press release, or you
Yeah.
said it's just a
Yeah.
press release? Okay, so that would mean like, World Alzheimer's Day is a press release. Black History Month is a press release.
Yes, that's what a proclamation is.
Yeah, well, but I just said, when I do mine, I give them to somebody,
Okay.
okay? That's not a press release, I'm giving it to somebody. Okay, but these things are now, these are what we're really denoting what a press release is. And I'm just saying, that's what these are. And so for me, I took issue with wanting to do a proclamation on ceasefire, okay? because I just had too many different opinions on, from not just my constituency, but from various places. And so I didn't want to do it, okay? And so, to me, that's something that I think it's a polarizing issue. And I wouldn't call it purposely polarizing, but just a polarizing issue because it's just so, subject to just too many different interpretations of what it could be.
So this, again, is for discussion. It's not getting voted on tonight. We do have one more thing to get to tonight. I don't want to be respectful of time. Yes, Ms.
I
Conley?
do want to say one thing. A proclamation, though, unlike a press release, is an actual thing. It's on a certain kind of paper. It has the seal. It's written in a certain way. It comes with a nice folder. So many use it as an opportunity to do a press release out of the proclamation. But going to Wanda's point, it also is used as something you give. People put it in a frame. So part of the intent of this is that if it is an official document with the seal and the proclamation elements, then we should have a policy that does give some basic outline. Now, the intent of a policy is not to be overly prescriptive because we like proclamations. We want to showcase the legislature's, accolades for the marching band of, Colony or Guilderland or whatever. But the idea is that without it, there is a little bit of the Wild West going on. So if we are going to use the seal of the legislature and put it in this format, then shouldn't we discuss and agree on some parameters? But it's not meant to be restrictive of, somebody wanting to celebrate something, which is how we use them. Our practice is mostly, I would say, 9
Yeah.
times out of 10 are that.
Well,
I
it's
just wanna make that-
ceremonial, but I'm just saying, if any member wants to issue a proclamation under the name of that member,
Yeah, you
they're
can do
certainly
whatever
entitled
you
to do it.
want under Mark Grimm.
If the minority conference wants to issue a minority conference proclamation under their seal, then they're entitled to do it.
Under
As you
the
do.
Republican seal
Exactly.
that I've seen. I
Yeah.
mean, we're not gonna control your use of.
That's
your-
what I want to make clear.
Yeah,
That's
but
what it- 'cause
if
they're-
it is an official document with the county ledge seal, then that belongs in a different process.
All right, yeah, looks like one or two more comments and we got to move on.
Could I just add, or maybe make a comment? Although it's entitled Albany County Legislature Proclamation Policy, it might help if it said definitions, a proclamation of the full Albany County Legislature is an act of proclaiming. So it differentiates, because otherwise, when you get to basically the last line in the document, it says, an invalid proclamation shall not be posted on social media and/or distributed to the public. So if I want to do a legislator wants to do an individual proclamation, technically it doesn't meet any of these rules, but then again, somebody could read it to be in violation. So I think it might just help for purposes of drafting, if it was just clarified that this is pertaining to proclamations of the full legislature.
I wouldn't say full though, because sometimes they're not gonna be full.
Well, however it's
That's all.
crafted.
Yeah, you want to craft that to designate the
However it may be
legislature
crafted,
itself
but-
and not the various caucuses.
I think you take out the word invalid. I don't want anyone calling my proclamation invalid.
All right, well, it's, I think
Non-official,
the authors
unofficial.
in the room will take
We will-
that under
I mean,
advisement.
We'd be happy to continue to consider any edits, so please send them along.
Do we all agree we don't want it to hold up ledge businesses? Because I think that's unanimous.
Except for the cute pictures with the kids in the uniforms and stuff.
Well,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
start
yeah.
things at 6 o'clock.
We're not going to debate it. I mean, if you want to issue a proclamation, God
Yeah.
bless you, whatever you want to do is fine.
No,
but-
no,
yeah.
no.
Okay.
I don't think there's any suggestion that we
Okay.
would somehow intervene in the legislative session.
Okay,
Okay, on to
So
our,
thank you.
thanks, guys.
okay, thanks. Rebecca, do you want to introduce this, or? We have this is a proposed resolution.
Yes, this is another proposed resolution for amending the rules of order, the legislative rules of order, to clarify the voting procedure. It would include just a clarification based in part on recent events, that voting shall be either a yes or a no. You can't vote present at the meeting unless you have abstained. So those are your options. You can either vote yes, no, or abstention. Also, we don't currently in our rules have anything that defines abstention. We just defer to Robert's rules. So this would define abstention so that you can abstain from voting only when you have a direct personal or pecuniary interest that is not common to all the other members of the legislature. For instance, you're allowed to vote on your own raises. That's something that you would not be conflicted out of doing. So you could do that. You wouldn't need to obviously abstain on that sort of thing. But if it's not something that is common to all the legislators, like you have a particular pecuniary interest in a particular business or something like that. If one of you works for LifePath or your husband or wife works for LifePath and you're voting on the LifePath thing, you probably should abstain.
Or like Ray never votes for anything.
Exactly, for National Grid, exactly. And
I had
then
a question about pecuniary interest.
Okay,
Let her
and
finish.
Okay, sorry.
I'll just finish summarizing. The member must also announce their abstention prior to the vote and file with the clerk the reason for their abstention, which has been our practice anyway. We would recommend doing that before the vote if at all possible, just to not hold things up, so you don't forget. And then in that instance where you are abstaining, you also should not be participating in discussion or debate on the subject. And then any people who abstain are going to be recorded in the minutes. And then also just putting in our particular rules, it's already in Robert's rules, that voting on a motion or any resolution concludes and is official when the chair announces the vote. So, and pecuniary.
So I had a question about how we're defining pecuniary. Is that the law will?
Financial interest.
Financial interest in what the law is going to regulate? Is that the pecuniary interest, or it's an actual matter that you have an interest? That, like it's your house that you're selling to Albany County and you abstain?
Well, I would,
Like, is that the pecuniary interest, or is it that you're to be regulated by this law and you own a business that's?
I don't think
I think it's a direct.
I think it would be a
Direct.
direct pecuniary interest, because, I mean, like, all landlords don't need to abstain from things that could affect landlords within the county. Because again, it's not common, or it is something that is common to a number of members of the legislature. This is more for something that is, if you work for someone or might benefit directly from a contract that with a particular agency or something like that.
Thank you, just want to clarify that.
Can we just, instead of using the word pecuniary, which a lot of people don't know, can we define it in the way that you did? Financial interest, is that basically?
Pecuniary is directly from Robert's rules, which is where it's drawn from, so I mean, it's up to the legislature.
Pecuniary / financial?
Yeah.
People.
I mean, it means the same thing, so.
So
AKA
our,
financial.
to me, it seems like our practice has been like, you say abstain when the vote comes around to you. But here we're asking folks to do it even before the vote starts, before a vote.
It would usually be
If you
filed
say
with the
prior
clerk.
to their vote, we recommend that you file with the clerk beforehand, so that it's already taken care of, because you do need to file the paperwork.
Yeah.
But again, some people have like standing ones, like Ray for National Grid, is always going to be
So
abstaining.
it'd be prior to
for
that
National Grid.
individual's vote, not prior to when.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Well, we just had an
Because it's
issue with this, and I think this is what prompted this. Someone decided to abstain at the point without filing. What if during the debate, I mean, I don't think it's an answer, I just don't want to vote on this and abstain.
You can't, that's not a valid reason for an abstention.
Because I don't think there was there wasn't a valid reason for the extension, was there, on the last meeting? we
Correct.
had?
Well, we won't address any particular time, but yes.
Well, what happens during the debate, though, when you realize, geez, I didn't know this about this issue, maybe I should abstain, which is possible.
Well,
What would you do in that case?
If it results in a valid reason for abstention, yes.
You'd say, I'm
You,
gonna
I mean,
abstain.
you can do something last minute if you.
Without filing with
it's
the
as
clerk?
soon- No, you would then go up and file with the clerk afterward.
Oh, okay.
We just recommend that it be done beforehand, so in case you forget or anything, because it's not an officially valid abstention unless you have actually filed the paperwork, that's all.
So, sure.
I'm understanding this to be that thing that happened last time is not correct. That I'm supposed to only have
No, we did not have any-
pecuniary is the only interest for
No
raising.
pecuniary or personal.
The thing that happened last time, while it was inconsistent with the tradition and the convention, there was not a policy that prohibited it.
Right.
So,
Yes.
so people were like, "Oh," but technically, it wasn't out of order. Going forward, it would be.
So it could never be, you're really not sure what to do. You're
No,
abstaining. You-
that's not
allowed.
allowed.
Unfortunate.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And this just tightens it up to make it clear in our own rules rather than just referring to Robert's
That's
rules.
right, as Todd reminded us, we can
where
go
do
to
we
the
go from
bathroom.
These will be introduced, I believe, tomorrow in the individual exchange, so they will be on the legislature's April meeting for referral to committee. So you'll be seeing this again in its official format next month.
All right.
What if, and I'm just have one question, I'm sorry, I know we're over. Somebody just decides in violation of this that they don't want to vote on something and they leave the room. What happens, that they're just marked absent?
You cannot leave during a roll call vote,
I'm not
but if,
suggesting you should, I'm just
Yeah,
saying
if you
as a
leave-
clerical matter, what happens?
nothing, you're marked out of the room.
Okay.
We take notes on who leaves and enters the room at any given time,
Mhm.
because we need to know for a unanimous vote who that consisted of.
Mm.
So, and for all of our certifications and for the records after the meeting, we keep records of everyone who has voted on any particular thing. So when you say aye, or after they say all in favor and you say aye, you're listed on that resolution as being a person who voted for it. So if you step out of the room, we just write in the certification, so-and-so stepped out of the room or left the chambers, and then for whatever you come back in, like people go to the bathroom or whatever, I mean, they're long meetings sometimes. So we just make a record of that so we know exactly who has voted for what, and if someone were so inclined to do that, that would be a
That's how it would
possibility.
be reported.
So
All right, great.
Rebecca, then in the formal roll call, how is that marked? Absent?
Yeah, they would just be not present. Mhm.
By the way, are the roll calls available on the website? Somebody asked me the other day, and I said, I don't think so.
No, but
Yes, but then I
they're
asked for
all
this 6
public-
years ago.
They're all public records. They will be shortly as soon as the Granicus update, the website gets finally rolled out, which is
2027?
I think we have the last issue with Granicus, but we have
I think we
to,
actually have a bill at this point.
we have a bill for a purchase order to fix it. It's just that we have to approve the purchase order. It's
We have
very
to
close
pay
to
for
being
them to
done.
fix their 60-year-old problem, okay.
Yes.
I understand completely.
It's a very
Go
small
Lynn.
bill comparatively, but yes.
Okay.
They
Is
should be
that it?
paying
Is that-
us.
We can
But yes,
wrap
it
things up.
is a matter of public record who voted what on any vote,
Because I
much
didn't know,
less.
I didn't know, I don't know how to find it.
I mean, you can just, I mean, for purposes of you, yeah, you can foil anything.
Or just ask for it.
So-
Or you could just ask for it as a legislator, yeah.
If anyone
what's the next
has
step
any
with this?
RHIP,
comments,
baby.
suggestions, changes
But
on
come
this,
back to the
and,
rules committee.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
all right.
please let
Can't wait.
Rebecca,
Yeah, my suggestion is
Brandon know.
use another word than pecuniary so people understand it. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess it's just a discussion.
Yeah.
all right, and then this is.
Well, we love our discussions in the rules reform.
Right.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll so move that.
Thank you, second by Mayo, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good